Equipping for Bible translation is maybe one of the most important tasks we have as educators and investors for the growth of the gospel throughout the world. Hi, I'm Patrick Odin. I teach theology at Fuller Theological Seminary, and I'm also the director of academic integration at Fuller Equip. In this video, I want to provide a quick philosophy and approach to online education and give a quick overview of what it is we're doing in meeting the needs of biblical translators. This project has been started and boosted by our partnership with Biblica and E10 in the digital training library. And so what I'm going to talk about is represented in that task, but is also going beyond that. And we're always looking for more and more ways in which we can deliver high quality theological education to those who are called to teach, to translate, to minister in every corner of this world. So with that in mind, our goal at Fuller and in Fuller Equip is to approach online education with a different model in mind. We want to tell a story. More, we want learners to be involved in the story so that they know how they can best contribute and know how to progress farther, because this story is not fiction. This story is the work that God has begun in creation and the work that continues throughout the world. God is entering into these lives, into these cultures, into these places with the gospel, the transformative message of Christ. So telling a story in this way asks two key questions. One, what is the story? Two, what are the tools to involve others in this story so that they aren't outsiders, but become insiders and share this story in their language? So what are the tools for this? The tools to involve people in the story have changed over the years. Christianity especially has shown creative engagement in using these tools for both preaching and teaching. We can talk about the printing press, and that allowed the writing and translating of new versions of Scripture to take hold so that more and more people could read the Scripture for themselves, read it in public, but also in secret, read it in groups and by themselves, and in reading it, find that transformation of it speaking in their words, the word of life. We also can think about audio and video mediums, especially in the last century, TV, radio, bringing the message of the gospel farther than has ever gone before. The history of Fuller Seminary, founded by a radio evangelist, is a great example. Nowadays, we're talking about online and distributed learning, new forms of reaching people with extended education so they no longer have to travel. They no longer have to learn in a language that's different from them, so that we can provide the tools of training where they're at so they can continue to minister in a place where they are safe, where they are comfortable, where they're at home, understanding that this shared community is part of what it means to be whole. So we deliver the training to them. So our job, my job, is to use these tools of contemporary technology to involve learners in the story of translation so that they can best fulfill their calling in places all over the world. That's the task of the digital training library. That's the task of my teaching online in other ways. So how do we do this? One, I'm seeking ever more to understand how learning is very holistic. Learning involves a whole person as much as possible. We're not just brains existing in a physical form. We have emotions, we have experiences, we have stories, we have language. So what does it mean to involve a whole person? It means tapping into the different sensory aspects of what it means. We can't do smell online yet, but we can do visual, we can do auditory, we can come at it from different directions and spark different parts of someone's language and learning so that they get a bigger sense and are involved more and more. We can inspire their imagination. We can affect and encourage and guide their emotions. The fruit of the Spirit, after all, is what? Love, faith, patience. All these things that call out to our emotional side and yet are often cut out of so much learning. And of course, it also involves our intellect. And this, too, we have to think about branching kind of training, a shared thread that covers a lot of ground, that provides identifiable next steps. So someone isn't just cast into the deep end, but also so that they just learn a little bit and then that's it. We want to continue to progress learning so that at every stage someone has a way in, but also a continued way forward to the extent of the calling that God has given them. And in this, provide a big picture journey of a starting place in their calling so that they are involved, they are initiated. But then this is included into the big picture of translating the Bible all over the world is part of the testimony of God's goodness. So what is success in this? Success, as I understand it, is maximizing the impact of the content by making most of the medium. Good teachers do this through dynamic classroom involvement. You can see people, you can hear people, you know when to stop and pause and have to ask questions. You can't do this online, but good teachers already know the rhythms so that they can anticipate this in designing courses that reflect this knowledge. Good teachers, and this is the problem, are limited in reach and setting. So what we need is good teachers to develop good, informed learning experiences that reflect this body of knowledge and training and rhythm and speaking that go beyond the single classroom and reach all over the world to people who would never travel but can learn. So our plan, our goal in Equip is to model creative, engaging pedagogy that is not limited by schedules or locations. And in doing this, reaching out to Bible translation communities all over the world. The Bible is being translated in communities and corners and places in which people are very far away from the Southern California location I'm at. And yet we can share this community of the Spirit, the communion of the saints in finding learning so that our teaching comes to them and their work is empowered by reaching them in a way that helps them to do their task better. This is success, a success of the Spirit's work in bringing the fullness of the church's gifts together, not limited by geography or time. We want to find a rhythm that helps people learn, but doesn't overwhelm them, but also doesn't make it too easy. So as much as possible to standardize methodology in this many different diverse content and the many different lessons and tools and ideas so that each module, each course has its own familiarity. We want learners to be drawn into the story, to be drawn into the learning, not distracted. And so many online tools and online lessons become distractions, not learning. We want them to feel so comfortable that they are learning along, and in learning along, sharing this learning with others. So there's 4 steps in each unit, each course we do. There's learning, content we give. There's reflecting. Think about how this involves you. Internalize this. We want them to engage others in this process so they're not doing it in isolation, so that they learn from others. And we want them to practice. We want them to use the tools we are giving them in specific ways and specific steps so that by the time they are engaged in translating the scripture in their languages, they're ready and they're attentive to the task at hand, to the issues of translation, but also to the message of the Spirit. And in this, I am very excited. And I'm always excited when I know of others who are passionate about this task as well. So I thank you for your insights. I thank you for your contributions and look forward to sharing this journey together.